Hey guys, it's Tim and welcome to a brand new episode of The Countdown. And with Kong Skull Island now released, we're officially one step into our full-fledged MonsterVerse. First Godzilla in 2014, now King Kong, and we know that Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Rodan will all be appearing in the future. Which led me to thinking, which other monsters should show up in this MonsterVerse that Legendary Pictures is setting up? And with so many different monster designs showing up in Godzilla films throughout the years, I decided to narrow it down to 4 options that I think are the best to make it in for one reason or another. So my first option on this one is recurring monsters throughout the Godzilla franchise, Gigan. And Gigan definitely has one of the more interesting designs of the Godzilla Kaiju, having one giant red eye like Cyclops, a mouth that looks like a mixture of a chicken beak and an ant pincer, a giant rotary blade in the middle of its stomach, and 2 giant stabbing claws on either arm that were replaced by chainsaws later on. Just thinking about what they can do with him with modern effects is the most exciting part about him, because you can get this really cool design with all of his elements all mixed together, plus all the different ways that he can attack, his eye lasers, and of course seeing what they would do with that rotating blade in the middle of its torso, just seeing the damage that that can do. And he has a history of being a tag team partner for a variety of different monsters throughout the Godzilla mythos, so we can get some really cool battle scenes between Godzilla, an ally monster, Gigan, and someone else. And even though we've had group fights with monsters in the past, and we'll likely be getting them when we get Godzilla King of the Monsters, this will definitely help up the ante in terms of fight scenes as time goes on. And speaking of upping the ante, my next option for Kaiju to show up in the MonsterVerse is Destoroyah, who may have only shown up once, but definitely had a very strong solo outing. Destoroyah has a variety of forms in the movie that he shows up in, having small insect-like forms, smaller 2-meter forms, and then finally merging together into one gigantic monster, which is described as crustacean-like, but definitely has this satanic, devilish feel to him with his large, translucent bat wings, his sharp teeth, his all-red look. He's a very strongly designed monster, and while he does get mislabeled as the monster who killed Godzilla, which unfortunately he didn't, Godzilla was dying anyway and Destoroyah gets taken out before Godzilla dies, he nevertheless was a force to be reckoned with, and his variety of different forms can definitely be played with in the MonsterVerse, especially with how different monsters were used in movies like Cloverfield for different scales and sizes and effects. But speaking of monsters with different sizes and forms, my next option is one of the most iconic monsters in the Godzilla universe, Mechagodzilla. And whether he be an alien machine designed to discredit Godzilla, a government-made giant robot, or another government-made giant robot built around the skeleton of another Godzilla, Mechagodzilla has definitely made his mark on the Godzilla franchise. And one of the best parts about Mechagodzilla is that even though he's a robot clone essentially of Godzilla, they really don't share any similar attacks when he's in his Mechagodzilla form. And Mechagodzilla has a lot of different attacks, from eye lasers to finger missiles to being able to create a force field by spinning its head around. And different versions of Mechagodzilla have gotten more add-ons to them, with giant cannons strapped to it and the awesome Absolute Zero cannon. There are just so many options for what you can do with Mechagodzilla in these types of movies. And who doesn't love seeing giant monsters fighting giant robots? And speaking of which, my fourth and final option, though it may seem like an odd choice at first, is Jet Jaguar. And for those who don't know him, Jet Jaguar is a size-changing robot who's designed as a tokusatsu hero similar to Ultraman. He's actually the end result of a contest to design a hero for the Godzilla franchise to help market off of the growing tokusatsu, anime, and giant robot genres in Japan at the time. And unlike the other 3 on this list, Jet Jaguar is actually an ally to Godzilla as opposed to an enemy. But the reason that I want him to be in the MonsterVerse is really for one major reason. Because I want the MonsterVerse to cross over with Pacific Rim. Both are owned by Legendary, and we know that Pacific Rim is all about giant robots fighting giant monsters. And with names like Cherno Alpha and Gypsy Danger, wouldn't it make sense to have one of them be Jet Jaguar? It'd be a cool way to modernize Jet Jaguar that still stays true to his roots of working off of the giant robot genre. And his color scheme, though basic, is very striking, and I can see it working with the robot designs that we've already gotten with Pacific Rim so far. And those are my 4 choices for Kaiju to show up in Legendary's MonsterVerse, but what do you guys think? Do you think that these are good options? Do you think that there are other ones who should make it in as well? Well, as always, let us know down in the comments, and until next time, this has been Tim from the Hybrid Network, signing out.